Hi, we're Steve and Johanna Brannon, and we're the founders at Birdsong Play Garden here in Davis, California. This is the second in an introductory video series discussing our educational approach and program. In this video and the next, we'll be looking at the different elements that comprise our name, so Birdsong, Play, and Garden. Being that play is in the center of our name and the center of our program in a sense, we'll start out with that one today.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, so over the years, the two of us have been discussing play, and it's a theme that's come up frequently. It's quite central to our discussions. And one thing that we've noticed is that there tends to be, in our culture, somewhat of a sidelining of free play within early childhood years, with the prioritization going more towards organized activities and early academics. And we wanted to reevaluate what play is and what some of the inherent benefits of it may be for the young child. Jo's been doing some research around that, and she's going to share with us some of her findings.
According to Dr. Jane Griffin, Director of Education at the Creative Discovery Museum in Tennessee, play has the following characteristics. It's fun, it's self-directed, it's fully engaging, voluntary, and then this last aspect is of particular importance. It's intrinsically motivated, and we'll be touching back upon that a little bit later. Now, it's important in our discussion of play to recognize that this isn't an educational fad. In fact, human beings have been at play for millennia, and it's been a significant part of our development. We can witness play taking place within many mammals, and it's interesting to note that for very young children, it comes quite naturally. It's not something that we need to teach them how to do.
Right, and I think one of the significant things that we see in this play is, so take for example, imagine you bring your daughter to the dentist. She goes to the dentist, perhaps she's having a filling done. Maybe it's a little bit scary. It's certainly very new if it's, first trip to the dentist. And the child comes home, and you notice over the week or so that she is playing out what she experienced or what she observed at the dentist's office. So she may be using the dog as the patient, maybe the dog's getting a filling, or maybe getting a cleaning, or she's playing this out with her siblings. And so we see there in this play a certain digesting, psychological digesting of the experiences, things that have happened to the child, or things that the child's seeing in the environment, and they're kind of growing into it by using their imagination and playing into those roles. And that's a way for them of learning and making sense of their world with their whole being.
Mm-hmm. Now let's take a look at that particular example and see what other benefits can be derived from that instance of play. So for one, we see that the child is developing her imagination. And it's important to note that imagination is a foundational block for later conceptual thinking. Yeah. Additionally, she's coming to some type of understanding of social relationships, mm-hmm. and also some emotional processing of perhaps that was a little bit scary to go to the dentist, or just a little different. And so mm-hmm. in being able to play out the role of being the dentist, or maybe she'll draw a sibling in and she'll get to play out her job as being the patient again, then she's having some living into that emotion again, but on her own terms. There's also the development of language. And as we know that language is also an important foundational step to literacy. Mm. So she's probably learned new words through her visit to the dentist, and then is able to bring those back and practice on those more. Let's see. She's definitely engaging her movement in some way and getting to know her body. How did you describe that with the movement?
Oh, just this idea that through play, the child's really taking hold of the instrument, you could say, of their body, really living into and experiencing their boundaries, what they're capable of, working with their balance. And that's all tied in with this sensory integration, right. Motor integration, fine and gross motor skill as well. All of this whole host of developmental traits can come about in free play without a lot of outer directive from the parents, without a lot of programming in that sense.
Now, you may ask, gosh, as parents and educators, can't we actively pursue developing in each of those arenas? And that's certainly true, and at Birdsong Play Garden, we're tracking the development for our children. However, the key component of play is that it's intrinsically motivated. So the children are therefore coming to explore their strengths and weaknesses and coming to kind of set goals for themselves of where they want to develop more, or to know, well, gosh, I actually can't climb over that log just yet without help, and so I'm not going to pursue that. And instead, I'm working on this other skill first. So in this way, the children are connecting with their inner drive. Thus, learning through play is not only effective and pleasurable, but with this added component of the intrinsic motivation, then the children are developing self-mastery and also self-esteem, which are huge indicators of later success.
Right, so I think what we're discussing here as well is this idea of the locus of control, the sense that in the one instance with the free play, the child is able to be self-directed and kind of play from the inside out into what they're drawn to for their own development, versus if the locus of control is outside of them, coming from a parent or a teacher who's, setting up the conditions of what they expect of the child.
And what they expect of the child, and also setting up what is considered success. Mm-hmm. So the children might feel accomplishment for playing in a certain way that we as educators might not have set that bar for them. We might set the bar inappropriately.
Right, it can be tough to calibrate. It's tough to know exactly what a child may need at a certain point in their development, whereas I think what we've seen through experience is that children instinctively or naturally, intuitively gravitate towards the activities that are going to nudge them along in the ways that they need. And part of that, I think you were talking about this at some point, is if the locus of control is without, and if the measure of success also for the child to know when they're successful is based on praise or reward, sort of a carrot and a stick dynamic, that can lead to a bit of anxiety, not just for the younger children, but for children in general.
Right, and there's also repeated studies that have shown that there's a correlation between having an external locus of control with experiencing anxiety and depression for children, adolescents, and adults. Oh. And then additionally, there are studies showing that children have higher reports now than they did, say, in the 1960s. Now they're experiencing a higher incidence of external locus of control. So our children are feeling less in control.
If we make space for the play, what is it that surrounds that? And I was thinking of this, and this is something that, again, these are topics we've been talking about for a long time and are central to our Birdsong Play Garden ethos and pedagogy, is sleep. We want to work with parents to make sure that the sleep is rhythmic and that it's deep, they're getting to bed on time. We want to look at their nutrition, right? Because good play and learning is supported, of course, by proper nutrition. What is their relationship with media? How much media is there? What kind of media is being consumed? And does that lead to overstimulation? What's the impact there on their imagination within their free play?
And often lack of movement.
Sure, of course. Media consumption is going to primarily be correlated with less movement than playing outside. That's for sure. And then as well, what's the atmosphere in the home, or what's the atmosphere in where they're receiving care? Is it cluttered? Is it spacious? Is it tidy? Is it messy? And along with that, what kind of toys are they playing with? And as well, I think a big part of it is the intellectualization of the young child through either the way that we talk to them directly, but also what are the conversations that are going on between adults that they're exposed to, and how many questions are we putting to them? How much choice? I know this is a big one for you, it's like, how many times do we ask them what they want versus letting them know how it's going to be, because we know that that's what's best for them. So we see that there are these instances in which we need to provide the form, we need to provide the rhythm, we need to provide that foundation where our insights are best. The place where we want to make space for and leave that up to the children is with that abundant amount of free play.